Back live with you today, and thank you very much for your time tonight on In Focus. The organization Undoing Tax Abuse has approached the NPA's investigating Directorate to probe a case of fraud implicating Deputy President David Mabuza. The matter relates to an alleged fake land claims scheme while Mabuza was MEC in Mpumalanga, also in some instances as the Premier of Mpumalanga. He's also among 13 others accused of obtaining control of land and then selling it at an inflated price to the Land Claims Commission in Mpumalanga in the period between 2000 and now. Joining us now for more details on this rather complicated matter is Outa Chief Executive Wayne Duvenage. Wayne, good evening and thank you very much for your time. There's no doubt it is a complex scheme that we're dealing with here. Even in your 41-page affidavit, just going through it, it has a lot of moving parts. But some of it is that there are various processes that have been undertaken. There are reports that have been compiled. There are court cases that have gone on. And you're taking all that and bringing it together now in an affidavit and putting it before the NPA and saying, here, charge. Why do you believe that now is the time that the evidence that is contained in all these reports, all these court cases is strong enough?
Yeah, good evening, Taba. Thanks. Look, you know, I think if you've been watching the media over the last year, this matter has come to the fore largely as a result of a case that Fred Daniels brought in 2021, which has been ventilated and played out in court in the High Court in Pretoria throughout this year by Fred Daniels, as I said. Now, this is a civil case, and in this civil case, there's a lot of activity and accusations and evidence of wrongdoing, of criminal activity, and nothing has been brought to the fore. Nothing has been tabled in a formal complaint to the NPA. So it's quite frustrating for civil society to watch this happening. It's like watching the state capture going on for 4 years and nothing happens while there's good evidence there, and then you wait till the end. So we believed a number of months ago that something had to be done. We then started engaging with the legal teams and looking at all this evidence that was forthcoming in this matter. And over 6 weeks ago, we started to compile this affidavit. As you can see, it's quite a comprehensive one, and it took us 6 weeks to put it together, and we processed it directly to the NPA on Monday. So yeah, I mean, people think that the timing of this is part of the internal mudslinging within the ruling party. It's got nothing to do with that. Our matter is about holding people who abuse their authority to account, and that's what this matter is all about.
So from what we are looking and how the Daily Maverick is putting it down, it says it comes down to two sections. One, the land restitution scam, and two, the problem animal fund enterprise. These are the two facets of what you are looking at here. It's a number of land claims that you're talking about, but let's take one. Let's to understand how this scheme operated. Veegboom, 306 hectares. What are you arguing there? What are you alleging happened?
Well, what we're alleging is that land is purchased at a low price, then put forward to the Land Claims Commission, the Mpumalanga Regional Land Claims Commission, at inflated prices, where there have been no claims on those properties from people who believe they were dispossessed. There were no claims on those lands. So that is fraud, and that is racketeering and corruption that this entity that was set up with others involved, both authorities within government as well as private sector individuals who are named in the affidavit, and making millions of rands when they shouldn't. There should be none of these claims should have been put forward. Then there was the Greater Budplaas Land Claims Commission, set up by the MEC at the time in 2008 to really harass Fred Daniels in his resistance to allow his land to be part of the scheme. So we see this unfolding. We see court dockets, police dockets, 6 of them laid, all of them closed down due to manipulation, dockets missing, documents missing in those police dockets. And again, this is all leads to this pattern and this process of collaborative racketeering that needs to be, heard and investigated by the NPA.
Yeah. Connect the dots for us. You list Mr. Peter Visagie. He's named second after David Mabuza. But from reading the papers and reading your documents, it seems Mr. Peter Visagie would have been the businessman who was really the architect of this particular scheme. Why not cite him as the first suspect?
Well, he is cited as the second suspect. He's up there, but we believe David Mabuza's fingerprints are all over this without somebody on the inside that enables this to happen, payments to be made. There's a lot of victimization that we report on. David Mabuza's involved in all of that. So whether you put his name first or second is neither here nor there. There are 13 people that need to be investigated.
Yeah. It seems there is also the involvement of the private sector here, state agent involvement. There is an independent evaluator as well, according to the Ernst & Young report, that would have been involved here. Explain the role that they played.
Well, yes. So again, they are part of the scam in inflating the prices. So you can see a property is bought for 1.2 million. Then you get an evaluator that doubles that price. And then more claims are put in. And I mean, the prices that these lands were eventually sold to the Land Claims Commission were inflated by, well over 200 to 300% in some cases. And again, if you add up everything that has happened here, especially on the issue around Fred Daniels' case, the Bud Plus community, the community in Mpumalanga, has suffered as a result of these fictitious claims and these attempts to harass the developments that were going to take place under Fred Daniels and the consortium that had been formed. I mean, this area and region lost, according to Judge Willem Heath, who put this down in a report, of about 35 billion rand in investment and taxes and foreign exchange. Jobs were lost, about 6,000 local jobs. You've got to look at all of this in the context of what has happened as a result of what was going on with these land claim schemes. And it's just diabolical. And to sit here today, after all these years, and nothing has happened from an accountability point of view is just unacceptable.
Yeah. How did they manage to do this? How did they manage to successfully maneuver this? I mean, from the Veghboom case, for example, you are saying this independent evaluator comes to a property that originally was purchased at 1.2 million, 1.3 million, and the value says it's 2.9 million. But what is eventually paid by the Mpumalanga government is 4.5 million.
Yeah. It's just crazy to see that can happen. That's exactly what happens. The Land Claims Commission then buys that land, assuming that it's going to be redistributed to claimants, and there weren't any claimants. There were no legal claims on those lands. So you have property that is sold and repurchased at prices that you and I pay for in these Land Claim Commissions schemes, but they should never have happened in the first place. So as you said, from 1.2 to 4.5 million rand, that is fraud in the extreme.
How much money have these guys made? I mean, they're saying 15 suspects here that are named, including the deputy president. Is there a trail of money that makes its way to any of their bank accounts?
The Ernst & Young report puts the total payments in these land purchases in the Bud Plus land claims case at about 206 million rand during that period under review. And I mean, that's not what that value of that land was. So that's the value that we have now. But, Thabo, this is, when we put an affidavit together like this, and before we even lay this with the NPA or pass it on, we go through as much of the evidence as we can. But now it's up to the NPA or the Investigative Directorate to put the necessary resources to go and verify what we've said. They can now subpoena bank accounts. They can subpoena minutes of meetings, recordings, people, have interviews, and then verify whether this happened or not. We believe that there's a lot of substance here, and you only need to have one incident for the corruption to be proven to have a 15-year jail sentence. There's a lot here, and there's a pattern here, and we believe that it would be wrong for this country to not have the NPA investigate this matter.
Explain to us then briefly, Wayne, the Problem Animal Fund enterprise, how that links up with the Mpumalanga Tourism Department and what is called the Wildlife Protection Services. How did they use that to be able to make money?
Well, I think it's just another scheme, but it links in back to the Fred Daniels matter where they tried to implicate him. But in short, it's about you have problem animals and you have the Wildlife Protection Services, part of the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency Board, and they have to, deal with so-called problem animals. But when you start fictitiously putting in certification of problem animals that aren't there, and you sell those as hunting certification and hunting opportunities, you start to see a lot of money start flowing, and that money is diverted into other bank accounts. It doesn't go to where it should go, and you have a whole Public Finance Management Act debacle that unfolds, no oversight, and so this is just another a scheme that was part of this entire cabal of individuals who found other ways to make money. So there's a number of cases that have to be opened there.
We hear from one politician yesterday who says that many have tried to pin something on David Mabuza, and nothing yet has materialized. Is there something you're saying in this case that you've put together that pins the Deputy President directly, where you say, there is your hand, and this is your instruction, and this is your benefit coming from this instruction?
Well, if you understand the MEC of departments that should be managing this process, you first got to ask yourself, why is it that so much money was paid when nothing should have been paid in the first place? You would expect the department to be protecting civil society or society's funds and taxes to ensure that, A, there were legal claims on the land, B, that the market-related prices were correct. None of that investigation is done. David Mabuza also approved payments to Fasahi and his businesses when there was no need to pay another, I think it was over 3 million rand, because he needed money. He was running out of money, and there was no justification for that. So we believe that if this investigation is done properly and thoroughly, that they will find the fingerprints and linking the current Deputy President to this matter. Of course, nothing has happened to date because 6 of those dockets, those cases that were opened, have all been closed and manipulated. And as I said, documents are missing, files completely missing. Fortunately, we've been able to ascertain a lot of those documents, and those cases can be reopened. And hopefully this time there's no manipulation and documents don't go missing. So let's see where the NPA takes this, but we don't lay frivolous cases and matters. We've followed this closely, looked at all the evidence, and believe that there's a substantive amount of evidence in these matters to implicate all the people that we've put into the charge sheet.
CEO of the Organization Undoing Tax Abuse, Wayne Duvenage, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on.